Everyone deals with some form of stress in their life, and it's not always easy to find relief. Family and work obligations, personal goals, financial issues, it can seem never-ending. But here's the good news, there are simple ways to effectively manage your stress levels so that they never get to a point where you find yourself crippled by it. Sure, there's no possible way to avoid stress entirely. But there are ways of learning to identify stress triggers, manage stress levels and cope with the stress and anxiety you simply can't avoid. Are you ready to finally learn how to quickly and efficiently manage your stress levels so you can live the life you deserve? Let's begin. Tip number 1, get active. An easy, natural, yet incredibly powerful method of reducing stress is as simple as putting one foot in front of the other and increasing your day-to-day physical activity levels. For those of us who spend a good amount of our time sitting behind a desk, getting in some exercise isn't always something we make time for, but it's an important component in resetting your mind and body, which will ultimately help you to minimize stress levels. Tip number 2, limit incoming noise. Access to the internet has brought a lot into our world: convenience, social networking, the ability to work from just about anywhere. But with it comes an extraordinary amount of stress. Just think about the last time you sat down to watch your favorite television show. You were probably distracted by your mobile device, which means that you most likely didn't absorb everything that you watched. And it's not your fault. The most important time to disconnect from the internet, however, is shortly before we go to bed. Staring at a screen and scrolling has been linked to insomnia-related issues, which lead to high stress levels. For a good night's sleep, turn off all mobile devices about an hour before your bedtime. Try reading a magazine or physical book, or watch some light TV. Do some type of activity that isn't too engaging but still somewhat stimulating so that your mind is able to stay focused while still being able to wind down and relax. Tip number 3, get enough sleep. Another natural way to reduce stress is to make sure that you get enough, but not too much sleep. When we don't rest enough at the end of our day, our body can tense up and it leads to irritability and depression. And when we're irritable or depressed, we're stressed. On the other hand, that doesn't mean you should sleep for an incredibly long time. If you sleep longer than your body actually needs, then you can become sluggish and listless, which can also lead to stress when you're unable to meet deadlines, get through your personal to-do list, or simply feel down that you aren't being productive. Tip number 4, reduce caffeine intake. Many adults are self-professed caffeine addicts, and studies now show that coffee does come with some health benefits. But as with everything in life, moderation is key. For some people, caffeine may not be a good idea at all. Everyone has a different caffeine threshold, right? Some people can handle a lot, some just a little, and some not at all. It all comes down to your body's overall chemistry. Reducing your caffeine intake, be it in the form of coffee or other high-caffeinated beverages, is a natural way to reduce and relieve stress. Just as many of us need caffeine to function after waking up, too much can make us jittery and scatterbrained. Tip number 5, put yourself first. So many of us are afraid to say no when people reach out for help, advice and support, and by not considering whether saying yes is good for us, it can easily lead to incredibly high stress levels. Are you finding yourself emotionally and mentally depleted because you give so much of yourself to others? Are you struggling through toxic relationships that don't add any value or happiness to your life? And being a yes person doesn't just apply to your personal life, but quite often, yes, people are the same way with their jobs or careers. If you find yourself in this situation, take a step back and look over your workload. Ask yourself what you can get done within a reasonable amount of time, and then discuss this with your manager, business partner, or simply yourself. Tip number 6, end procrastination. Putting tasks off until the last minute can add a tremendous amount of stress to your life, especially if they're important tasks with a specific deadline. And while it's often hard to get things done in a timely manner, it's not impossible with a regular routine. Whatever tasks you need to accomplish, it's important to write them down on a to-do list or use an online project manager to help you stay on track. This can be for your personal or work life, or you can even have separate lists for both. Tip number 7, listen to music. When you think about reducing your stress levels, you probably also think about peace and quiet. And while silence can be calming, there are genres of music that can promote tranquility and inner peace, which result in lower stress levels. When it comes to lowering blood pressure and heart rate, turn to slow-paced instrumental music. For example, classical music with violins or a piano can be very comforting. The soothing sounds will help you feel relaxed and grounded. You can also try listening to culture-specific music such as Celtic music from Ireland. The beautiful sounds will help calm your mind and make you feel at peace. Tip number 8, cut back on carbs. A diet full of processed foods can increase stress levels in our body. Unless you immediately channel all those carbohydrates into fuel, such as for a workout, they can easily turn into insulin and wreak havoc on our systems. So, if your diet is fairly high in grains and sugar, consider cutting back and see how much it helps your stress levels. When you do cut back on carbohydrates, you're bound to feel significantly less sluggish. Just think about the last time you ate a generous portion of bread, and how you felt immediately afterwards. Plus, studies have shown that easing up on carbohydrates helps reduce your risk of getting diabetes. Tip number 9, passion flower. If you've been to the grocery store lately, then you've probably seen a lot of drinks that are made with passion flower. As opposed to energy drinks, passion flower is actually used to calm you down. Passion flower is a naturally occurring plant that boosts levels of gamma-aminobutyric acid (GABA), which is a compound that lowers brain activity. When you think of brain activity, picture little boats swimming from shore to shore on a river. When you're overstimulated and stressed out, these boats are all over the place and nothing is clear. Tip number 10, use valerian root. Another natural supplement that can help reduce your stress levels is valerian root. It's so effective, in fact, that it's often referred to as nature's Valium. This non-habit-forming herb has a tranquilizing effect that also aids in getting a good night's sleep. Just like passion flower, it also helps with GABA. The valeric acid found within valerian root prevents the breakdown of GABA, which is exactly what the anti-anxiety medications Valium and Xanax do. In addition to that, valerian root also contains the antioxidant hesperidin and linaria. These antioxidants actually inhibit excessive activity in the amygdala, which is the part of our brain that responds to stress with fear.